After leaving over 2 decades of a corporate career in the accounting and payroll fields, Janet Ickes embarked on a new journey that allows her to share her insights, knowledge, and expertise to those that she is blessed to work with through her direct, yet calm, hands-on training approach. Her passion is to create financial systems and frameworks to help her clients work smarter, not harder. Most importantly, keep more money in their pockets. In addition to providing training and consulting, Janet is also the author of Money Doesn't Spend Itself, So Where Did It Go? A simple solution to build a solid financial foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, Janet Ickes. Janet, take me back to when this all started and you decided that you were going to start your own business and do Excel with me.
You know, it's really crazy because when we moved from Pennsylvania to North Carolina, I had no intentions of doing anything other than becoming a Mary Kay director because for 20 years, that was my side gig. And I thought for sure that's where it was going to be. So I spent that first year when I knew nobody except for the 2 people I brought with me here in North Carolina, and I started networking. I just started getting out everywhere. And the more I started talking to folks, the more I realized that the stuff that I did naturally, which is called numbers and math and all of this accounting thing that usually gets people to glaze over, a lot of these small business owners just didn't know what they didn't know. They were confused, they were frustrated, they were stressed. I'm like, wait a minute, I could do this. There was a need. So the Lord put it on my heart to start Excel with me. I had no idea that we were going here in this direction. But when I saw the need there and I realized the parts of my corporate job, spending 20 years in corporate accounting, had its plus and minuses. One of the minuses was I didn't care for the hours so much. But on the flip side, it gave me a very solid foundation. So I found myself in a really unique position. I understood small business from my Mary Kay business. I understood corporate America accounting because I just spent 20 years in there. And all of a sudden, the Lord opened up an opportunity for me to launch Excel with me so I could train. I initially started just training and helping folks put financial systems in place. So whether that was QuickBooks, whether it was Microsoft Excel, we did try to gear them away from pen and paper. But we got those systems in place because it's all about tracking and being proactive, not reactive. And then it's developed from there.
So what all does Excel with me encompass? What do you do for people?
The title says training and consulting, and that's exactly what I do. So we started out, we can go ahead and do any kind of bookkeeping services. We launched that 2 years ago. So not only can we support them just by training their staff on how to, say, use QuickBooks, to use any kind of financial system, to integrate all of that, we can now take that for them because I have a staff of 4 now that are working with me. So it's really great to see everybody growing. So we can help them bookkeeping, and then also we can do accountability and support. Because I found I have a lot of small business owners. They're doing their books, they're just not quite sure what they're doing on their books. And then all of a sudden, they're just not quite sure, or maybe they have a question. So I developed an accountability and support plan, which basically means we meet a few times a year, we make sure you don't go off the rails, but I am your QuickBooks support. That way you have the support you need, and you're also accountable because guess what? You're already on my schedule and we need to meet. So I was able to serve that client as well. And now we're getting excited because we're launching Profit Accelerators, which is basically all about being proactive, focusing on your profits, and getting that good financial system in place. So that's more the consulting piece. It's a wide range.
That is a wide range. Before you became the person that helps everybody with their money matters, what did your money look like?
Well, it's very interesting because I was very blessed. I had a father and mom who basically were married 20 years, told they could not have kids. So by the time I came around, they had lived through the Great Depression. They had been very, very tight with money. Like they knew what it was like to have to count every penny. And they were able to bring that to me in a way that was very unique because we missed a generation in there. So by the time I came around, we were actually able, he taught me, I had to provide a budget to my dad before I could buy my car. Now, mind you, I was in college, but I was still living at home. I had to tell him, I actually graduated college, actually. So I had gotten through there and I had to give him a budget before he would even think about taking me car shopping.
Wow.
But that's the foundation that my family gave me. I lived at home. I had to pay rent when I started going to college, which meant I had to start developing that budget. So good news is it was easy to give them a budget, but I was very blessed on that because they actually taught me. They were volunteers in church. Guess who was the treasurer? So guess who learned to grow up counting money? So I was in a very unique position. So I was very proactive, so I knew how to handle money. And so to me, it was just natural. But what I realized is most people don't have that luxury. Most people didn't have that foundation. And I attribute that to my dad. And it was pen and paper back then.
Yeah.
So to be able to utilize that as the foundation was actually a good thing. Because even though that computers make it faster and simpler and streamline it, you got to understand the foundation.
Right.
So that's where I was at.
So you mentioned when you came to North Carolina that you learned pretty quickly that people were looking for help with their financials. Was there an aha moment? Was there a moment that somebody came to you and like, I need help, can you help me? Or any type of aha moment that you felt?
It was interesting. I think it wasn't exactly one particular moment, but I was getting multiple people saying, and I would just see the frustration on their face, and we'd just start talking. And I love to connect with people, I love to talk to people, and as it would just come up. And I found that I'm usually calmer when it comes to numbers because they make sense to me. But when I'm talking to folks, they're kind of frustrated, they're stressed out, and sometimes they don't want to open up on that, but yet I found folks were opening up to me. Probably because I was relatively laid back. I'm not here to judge anybody.
Right.
They're just numbers. And people would look at me like, what do you mean they're just no, honestly, they're just numbers. That's how I was in corporate accounting over 20 years. Trust me, it's just numbers. So what can we do to make it simpler? And I'm a puzzle person. I like to put puzzles together. So the more we'd start brainstorming, the more I realized how much this was frustrating people. So I think it was the Lord just brought a bunch of different folks into my life about the same time that made me realize that there was a need for this. And it was something, I enjoyed doing. So it was like a natural. So we just jumped in and said, here we go. I'm going to try it for I'll just try it for 6 months and see what happens. And next thing I know, that 6 months turned and we're now on year 8.
Wow.
And it has been growing and growing and growing. And that's where we've added the additional services so that we can support the small business owner. So it was kind of a lot of little pieces that came into one. Aha.
So you said something just now that piqued my interest.
Sure.
Is there a stigma around people coming to you and saying, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm embarrassed because I'm not making what I want to be making? What is that?
That is very common, and I'm learning to listen for that a little bit more because people are, a lot of times they're like, well, I'm not where I want to be, so I can't talk to anybody about it. Well, that's the time you need to talk to somebody about it.
Right.
But I also get that there's no judgment, and a lot of people I think have the understanding that, I'm going to be judged for it because I'm not as successful as I think I should be, or I'm not as successful as I said I was going to be. That's okay. Money is a challenge. Money is, there's a lot of moving parts. And not only do you have to manage money as a small business owner, but you got to manage 17 other hats, and that's just on a good day. There might be 32 that you've got to manage. That's being a business owner. So it tends to get really frustrating. And I have found that the people, they're embarrassed about not where they think they should be. They're just so embarrassed about that. They're frustrated. And they don't know a lot of times what happened. I don't understand where my money's going. I get that a lot. Whereas, where's my money going? I'm like, what do you mean you don't know where your money's going? Like, it didn't just get up and walk away.
Right.
It was really funny, which is what actually developed into my book, which is Money Doesn't Spend Itself, So Where Did It Go?
Right.
Because that was what I was seeing is folks, they were like, wait a minute, I had this money in my bank account. I'm like, why are you looking at your bank account to get whether you can make a decision? They're looking at me like, well, how else am I going to know? Now we got a conversation. And that's, I've opened that door and we start just having a conversation. Because the last thing is, as I said, I'm not to judge. They're just numbers. Let's see if we can figure out what the numbers are telling us, because once we figure that out, we can tell the numbers what to do.
Gotcha. So on your website and in your teachings, you talk about the squirrel effect.
Oh, yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about what the squirrel effect is and why is it so common for people who are trying to grow businesses?
Absolutely. My little squirrels. We have this, the squirrels are out there. And I really enjoy talking about the squirrels because most people get it. As a business owner, I kind of alluded a little bit before, is we've got to wear a bunch of hats. And those are hats, think of little acorns, they're all juggling in the air and we've got to go get them all. But just like the little squirrel, you're going to be chasing this acorn today, this one tomorrow, that one over here, this one back here, and all of a sudden all you're doing is running around in circles, climbing trees, going up and down, and guess what? Now we're in a mess because we don't even know where our acorns are at now. So that's kind of where the squirrel effect, and I like to have fun. If we're going to be dealing with something, let's have fun doing it. So the squirrels have been a great add-on, chasing the little squirrels. Let's get the little squirrels in line. And not only that, let's bring all the acorns and line them up so we can figure out what's going on.
It's funny that you use that as an analogy because I read not too long ago that about 80% of the nuts that squirrels hide.
Yep, they can't find them.
They never find them.
They cannot find them. That's exactly it.
Do you find that,
Oh, yeah.
that business owners are doing the same thing?
It's
and
exactly.
They've got all these ideas and they've
Yep.
squirreled these ideas away and then never circle back to them.
Never get to them. And that's the crazy part. A lot of times, but a confused mind, what's it do? Nothing. So not only are you confused, but you have 100 acorns or nuts and all flying every which way, and you don't even remember which direction you were at when you squirreled them away. But absolutely. And it happens because business owners are growing. There's a lot of moving parts that all have to fit together. Some of them work the first time, some of them work the 10th time, some of them work the 100th time. But we still got to at least know where the squirrels are at, or the squirrels have hidden the nuts,
right,
to be able to move forward, to find them and start moving forward.
Right. Have you ever had a time where you were in that place of having all of your proverbial nuts spread around and not know how to rein them in? Have you ever been in that moment of overwhelm yourself?
Absolutely. I don't know a business owner hasn't. Right. And it's interesting because it's happened different times in different ways. So that's kind of the unique thing. As you start growing, you find that you get overwhelmed in different areas at different times of your business growth. At least that's what I found for me. So when I first launched this, I had zero ideas. I was slapping spaghetti every which way. I was training, Microsoft Office. I was training Zoho. I was training QuickBooks. I was training all of these different things. And I love to train. That's my passion. The only problem is there was so much of it. It was getting to a point that I was struggling. Because one thing about software is it changes every time you turn around.
That is true.
So in order for me to keep current on one product, I was getting overwhelmed because I can't keep up with all of them. So that's when that particular dilemma was. I'm like, okay, what am I? I just didn't know what to do, and I'm like, okay, step back, and that's what I encourage my. Okay, let's just take a step back. Let's breathe. Let's breathe a second, and okay. And let's see what we can do. And that's kind of where QuickBooks Online just became the standard. Now I only support QuickBooks Online because I need to be able to figure out how to Band-Aid it, because no software works perfectly ever, every single time. Doesn't happen.
Right.
But as long as I know how to Band-Aid it, or at least come close to it, 99% of the time, it's a successful product. But I also want you to be able to use more than 20%, because that's the statistic. Software, you only use 20% of its capabilities.
Wow.
And that is not okay with me. So that's never been okay. So looking at that, that's one of the things. So I kind of scaled back. So that was one of the areas where I was overwhelmed. One that I'm going through right now is building a team. That has been a challenge over the last couple of years, because one thing that happens when you build a team is you lose money. And people don't realize that. So you've got to almost plan ahead to lose money to be able to grow. And that is so counterintuitive on anything you're thinking. And the other flip side is you don't want to grow your team when you're completely overwhelmed. You want to grow it just before you're getting there, but then you got to take a risk because you don't know that now all of a sudden the overwhelm comes again. So that, and actually I'm working my way through that as we go, because I've just added another team member. But I was prepared, but you're never that prepared.
Right.
But you know what? The only way you can grow and scale is to be as best as you can. You put everything in place that you possibly can. But the other flip side to that is you've got to have a lot of systems in place, some standard operating procedures in place. You will find out very quickly if you've got holes in that. Because as the team rolls out, not only are you dealing with them not knowing, well, wait a minute, why didn't you know that? Well, because I forgot to tell you. Okay.
Right.
That gets a little overwhelming. And then I doubled my hours as I'm training. So not only am I doing my normal hours, I've doubled up trying to get the new person in. So that's another area. Then I see a lot of business owners running into that issue as well.
I was just speaking with someone else about how critical it is to realize early and plan for when you're going to want to bring a team member in, because once you've hit that point of overwhelm,
it's almost impossible.
It feels like bringing in another person. you just get even deeper.
You do.
So it's something that you have to look for before you get overwhelmed and
Correct.
make plans for before then.
Absolutely. And folks don't catch. I mean, that's the hardest part, because you know, can I afford them? You can't afford not to. If you're going to grow, you cannot afford not to.
Right.
But know that it's going to put you back a little bit. So just go in with that mindset, realizing that you're going to have to stumble your way through, because nobody gets it right the first time. Well, at least not in my world. Other people might. I've not managed that. I usually have to learn as I go.
Right. What have you seen when people come to you that it feels like they're wasting energy and time and money? So what have you seen on a regular basis that you would think we need to cut that out?
That's pretty regular. And a lot of it comes back to the squirrels, and they're still chasing all of those nuts, because if you're running every which way and never getting a chance to take a step back, then guess what? Now you've got even more problems. And that kind of characteristic is common, because we've got to try different things to see what's going to work. But you also got to be able to take time back and say, is this working? Is this not working? So if you're not setting yourself time to take that step back, to look at the big picture and be the CEO or the whatever brain you want to say, the visionary of the company, because you got to hold all roles. So when you're looking at that and saying, okay, wait a minute, if you're in the weeds so much, basically doing the job, and you can't get to that level, that ends up causing you to waste more time, because you're not even seeing it. You're wasting energy, you're wasting time, and all of a sudden you've got a mess on your hands. Whereas if you can find a way, and I always say a system, if it's like an acronym, it's SYSTEM. You save yourself time, energy, and money. So if you want to save yourself some time, energy, and money, you have to put a system in place. What's a system? A system means a step of procedures, but you do it the same way every single time.
Right.
And I think that's one of the keys for small business owners. If you can get that system in place, and now there's probably 100 or 200 systems that you got to get in place, but you target the ones that you can control first. You make sure you get a financial system in place. You make sure you get a way to bring your leads in and nurture them. So you get these in, but you start mapping out the big picture. And when you do that, all of a sudden, even though it seems like a bunch of steps, everything starts flowing. Everything starts moving together. And the integrations and the abilities that we have now with technology is just amazing. I don't like to key more than once.
Right.
And a lot of times we have to use a couple of different softwares to get what we need, because each has their own strength. Well, let's use them for the strengths they have. But it requires a system. So that's where I see a lot of small business owners. They don't have the system in place. They don't have all of those steps that they do consistently every time. The more consistent it becomes, the more of a habit it becomes, the more you don't have to think about it. It's just on autopilot.
It's a lot like stitching time saves none.
Exactly. Exactly like that.
Realize the processes that you're doing over and over again. Create the system.
Implement.
Document the system.
I was going to say, and write it down. Absolutely.
Document the system, and then you can move on. And then when it comes time to train somebody,
guess what? Yeah.
You've got the system already documented, and you can hand it to them.
Exactly.
Walk them through it a few times and not have to start over, and that decreases that overwhelm, because you've already done it when you got started.
I could not have said it any better.
That makes absolute sense. You help people use tools such as QuickBooks, but in simple terms, what does a healthy financial system for a small business typically look like?
What that's going to look like is, if you got a financial system in place, you start with two numbers, income and expense. Now, what do we do from there? So that means we have to have a way to track all the income and expenses in our business. So we've got to have either some kind of a software, a tool, something, because every penny, and I do mean penny, that comes into your business or goes out of your business, you need to track. And people think I'm crazy. I'm like, no, you need to track it all. And you are going to invest in your business, well, we need to track that a certain way. You're going to take money out of your business. If you're not doing that, I got to say it's a hobby, not a business. But your business should be supporting your lifestyle, which, guess what? We got to go back to tracking. So the foundation for any financial system is a tracking. We've got to be able to track our income and our expenses in some fashion. But we also don't want to be taking 25 hours every single week to be able to track our numbers. So that's where a lot of QuickBooks come in. There's a lot of automation tools that are built into QuickBooks that allow the small business owner that time back. So now all of a sudden their phone, they have their numbers at their fingertips. And that is huge. So basically it's a simple way to track it, keep everything that goes through the business. So you want to make sure you have a separate business and personal account. That's a big thing that I see some, especially beginning business owners, they don't split it up. Oh, it's all my money. If it's business, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
So are you going to invest in your business? Oh, absolutely. Are you going to be taking money out of your business? As I said, absolutely, or it's not a business. But we've got to be able to track that a certain way so that, one, your accounting records are right. You can get a profit and loss statement. You can get a balance sheet. If you're ready to grow, you need to be able to get a loan and you want to go to the bank. Guess what they're going to ask you for? A profit and loss and a balance sheet and probably a cash flow. If you don't have that tracked, it's impossible for you to hand that information over. Now you're going to be scrambling. Now you got yourself all wound up again because now you got to go figure all this out. Let's just do it from step one. Get the foundation, get, in very simple terms, get a way to track every single penny in and out of your business. And make sure it's only your business, unless we're tracking it as money in or money out for you.
So even if you are a sole proprietorship, still you want to get that separate account.
Absolutely. If you're launching a business, no matter the size of it, day one, and I encourage you, get an EIN number. You need to make this a business. And as soon as you're ready, take it to the LLC level. Because yes, there's some skin in the game by doing that because there's a fee for it. But if this is a business that you're growing, then you should be able to absorb that. And that is just one more step to show this is a viable business. So you're just taking steps, one step at a time. But step one, separate the accounts. Business, personal. Get 2 dedicated cards if you're going to use credit cards, and that's fine. But dedicate it that only business goes on this one, personal goes over here. I carry 2 cards in my wallet. One's business, one personal. Get different colors, put stickers of color codes on them. I don't care. Keep them separate. Makes a huge difference because that gives you some support, and you got to know how your business is doing. You can't do that if you intermingle funds. And if you intermingle funds, your limited liability corporation, which is why you got the LLC, you've just pierced all of that veil of protection if you intermingle funds. So we don't want to go there.
Right. I'm sure you hear it when people come to you. Well, I'm just not a numbers person.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Tell me how you feel when people say that to you. What is your response? Well, I don't know. I'm just not a numbers person.
What's the concern? Why aren't you a numbers person? And usually they're like, what? Because I need them to stop for a second. I need to say something that's going to say, wait, what would you say? Because you don't have to be a numbers person, but you need to know what your numbers are. Big distinction. And that's usually how the conversation ends up going. I will make some little quip about numbers or tell me a little bit more about that. Because I'm curious, you may not be a numbers person, that's okay. But your numbers tell a story. Do you know what the story's telling? If that answer's no, now that opened up a whole nother conversation. But it gives me a chance to have a conversation with them. So I love when people say, hey, I'm not a numbers person. Great, because I am. So let's figure out how we can make this work for you. And it just launches into a conversation. I try to have as much fun as I can with it because numbers can be a little overwhelming. Let's face facts. To me, it's kind of put the puzzle pieces back together. But that's not the case for everybody. And most folks, this isn't their strength. And that's okay. And that's the other thing I'm going to remind them. Your business should be the strength that you have. Then, once you get that in place, surround yourself with people with correlating strengths that can support you. And when it comes to numbers, that is Excel with me. We can help you to be supportive of your business because we don't need to understand. And I'm going to tell you straight out, I don't know how to run. Your business is your business. And I think that's one thing that makes it very different. Even on the bookkeeping side, I will, as I said, I'll get in the car with you, but I'm not driving. This is your business. But I will gladly sit in the passenger seat and navigate for you. That is what I want to do. This is a partnership. So a good person with me is not somebody that says, just do it all. Yes, can I? Of course I can. But that's not helping you. And so my goal is to make you as successful as you can and support you, not do that for you. And I think that's where sometimes, I just want to do it. No, you don't need to do it per se, but you need to understand it. And that's what my ultimate goal is for my business owners, is to make sure that we get those proactive financial systems in place So the numbers, that the stories in front of them, they can now start making data-driven decisions, not out of emotions, not out of what amount is in the bank account, not any of that. Let's use the data to make our decisions so that, guess what, you've taken all the emotion out of the math, and all of a sudden, it's much simpler to move forward.
Yeah. Something that you said just now that I don't think a lot of business entrepreneurs and people who want to start businesses realize. They have a passion for something.
Absolutely.
And that's what they want to do. That's what they want to focus. That's where they want to be. If it's making T-shirts, that's their passion. They love to do it.
Sure.
But they don't realize when they actually go into business all the other things that are necessary. And I know from my own perspective, a lot of people have the mindset of, well, I got to do it all myself.
Right.
And I need it to be emphasized that you don't have to do things by yourself. Even if you're bootstrapping, even if you don't have a lot of funding, find other people, find mentors, find people who can come in and help you on the things that you don't know. Because you can't know it all. You won't know it all. And
We're human.
You're there for your passion. You're not there for the marketing part. You're not there for the financial part. You need that help, and it's okay to reach out and get that help.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people who start businesses don't realize
they don't realize how much work
a
a business is. Owning your own business is a lot of work.
It is.
And a lot of juggling, a lot of hats, a lot of frustrations. And you cannot do it alone.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you have employees. It means you can't do it alone.
Exactly.
And that's absolutely, and walking into business, even my husband, he just bought his own truck and trailer. And I'm like, you should have figured this out, Dad. We've been through this already. But flip side being, he still didn't realize just how much there was.
Right.
And trust me, I take off a bunch of it, but there's certain things I'm like, nope, that's yours.
Right.
But he's like, man, and he's like, I'm not gonna have to work on my truck all the time. I laughed. I'm like, you do realize you're gonna work on your truck all the time. He works on his truck all the time.
Yes,
because it's, but I'm like, you gotta learn. You gotta learn yourself sometimes, and that's okay. Reach out for help when you need it.
Exactly.
And the help is there. Form of mentors. There are so many folks that want to see you be successful. Take advantage of that. And the more you're open to that opportunity, the more those opportunities will be presented in front of you.
Absolutely.
And that makes a huge difference.
Right. So let's say that I've been in business for a year-ish.
Okay.
Tax season's coming up. I'm behind. I don't know what I'm doing.
Sure.
What advice do you have for me in that situation? How do I get started to start organizing, to bring it to somebody and say, this is where I am? First
thing is start where you're at. And that's what I always tell people. It's okay that you're behind it. We're going to start where you're at. So what can we do? I always say, stop the bleeding, basically. But we can Band-Aid it, and then we can get it caught, because we got to stop so we have to put good habits in now. So even if you are behind, I encourage you to reach out to someone that can help you. So I get a lot of folks that say, okay, I got to get this done. My January and February and March are usually crazy, because I get lots of extras that realize, oh shoot, I've got to get this done by April. I'm like, actually it's March, but we'll go there from there. But okay, fine. But we can still get you caught up, because we have ways, and we do this every day, which helps. So I cannot tell you how many extras show up. And I'm like, okay, now that we've got this under control, let's get 2025 working properly, so that 2024 is in a review. We are what it is. We're going to work our way through it, but we make sure we start putting the system in place now for the current year, so that, guess what? Once we get this all caught back up, you're on a system. And so that's what I'm saying. Start where you're at. So what does that mean? That means figure out what do you have? Do you have bank statements? Do you have receipts in a shoebox? What do you have? We start there. And then we start saying, okay, what makes sense? So if you started your business and you did do a separate bank account, okay, we can start using statements now. We can at least start there. And now we can start digging through those numbers and saying, okay, let's get them organized now. So then we can start, okay, let's put them in buckets. Buckets meaning how much was advertising, how much was insurance, we got to figure all that parts out. But if at least we have something to work with, we can do that. So you start where you're at. What is it that you have in your hands? Is it the shoebox? Is it the bank statements? What do we got? We start there, And then we start putting the systems together and figuring out what we can do. Sometimes we say, okay, this is the best we can get for last year, but what can we do for this year? So I'm always looking, especially working with folks, what can we do better? Because we all can improve. But let's start where you're at and start moving forward.
Gotcha. So let's say I do have a shoebox full of receipts. How should I organize them myself before I bring them to you? What would you wish that I would do with my shoebox of random receipts?
Depends on if we're going to use QuickBooks or not. So
Okay.
So one couple of different options. So if we're going to go old school, so we'll go old school for a second and say, all right, here's the box. So one thing that I recommend is get one of those expandable folders, and you can actually do them by month. So we start there. So January, those little 13 pockets or 12 pockets, whatever they are, January, February, drop them in by months, because that's starting point number one. So at least now we've got them sort of organized. Then you can just go one, because it can be overwhelming. But if they're just by months, there may not be so many. And then each month you go, and you could use an Excel spreadsheet, a Google sheet, whatever makes sense, pen and paper if you absolutely have to. I don't recommend it because it's way more time, but we'll go with where you're at. We start where you're at. And then we start saying, okay, you look at each receipt, you put the total amount down. So you can do something like a spreadsheet that has a date on it, and then just the amount, and then just do columns. So what bucket, what column? Is it advertising? Is it insurance? Was it office supplies? What was it? Try to group them together if you're doing it yourself. And then at least then you can run some totals at the bottom of it and have a half idea of kind of where you're at. The nice thing with QuickBooks is they have a little thing, and you mostly have your phone. You can just snap pictures of it. And guess what? It flows right up into QuickBooks, which means now you can get some support to help you, because all of those crazy little receipts are now little pictures. And now we can help you get that taken care of. Or you can do it yourself. I mean, you can start, and you can actually see the receipt and go take care of that as well. And one of the things I offer is I offer a startup, especially with QuickBooks. I'd much rather have a conversation with someone, because there's all kinds of different, even variations within QuickBooks. Which one's right for me? I don't know. I have to ask you a few key questions, because each little version has its own expense and its own capabilities. Where do we need to start? Depending on your business, depends. But I know pretty much where the key pivot points are after these years of working in there. So I'm like, okay, we're going to start with the lowest that we have to, and we'll let it grow with you. So, but if we can get everything into a software such as QuickBooks, now all of a sudden we have the pictures, we can start coding it. I bring a lot of that in, and we can actually get that foundation started. And one of the things I also do as part of the training, because I love to train, is I will teach you how to do it. So if you're ready to start this year, now's the perfect time, because we're not in December. We can actually do this now, and it's not too hard to catch back up. And part of my setup is I do the first month for you, because I want to make sure you have a solid foundation. But during that whole process, I'm teaching you how to do this using a software, which by the time we get done, you may only need to dedicate a half an hour a week, if that, depending on how large you are, maybe an hour a month. We can get it to a point that it becomes automated within reason. But if nothing else, it's streamlined. So shoebox or not, we can go old school, put it in an expandable folder, or we can take little pictures of them, bring them up. There's different options that we can do depending on what you've got.
That makes me curious. If you take a picture, is it using AI to pull the date and the amounts and all that and automatically populate it into QuickBooks? It
will automatically, but I don't trust AI. Sorry. Don't trust it. But does it bring it in? It only takes a few seconds to double check it? Yes. So it does bring it in. The AI does. The more you train it, the better it gets. Let's face facts. It's a computer. However, still double check it, because there are days it does not work so well. But yes, it does actually pull out the date, it pulls out the amount, and it'll even pull out a description. It's getting better, but it's still a computer. You still don't get completely off. And I always tell my team, I'm like, you got to check it. Do not trust anything. Do not trust it. But if you only have to take a few seconds to review something,
it's a lot faster than entering everything.
Faster than, and plus you get rid of a lot of the typos. Because I don't know about you, I'm good at mixing numbers up. Because you got, oh, wait a minute, what? And oh, whoops. Wait, what did I just do? Let's face fact, we're business owners. We all come into that. You get distracted. The little squirrels and the nuts are all over the place. You get distracted because we're doing everything every day, all at once, and you're trying to juggle it all. So the more we can make this that we don't have to think as hard, the better off it's going to be. So the little pictures are great. They do fill it in. You just double check it really quick, hit save, and guess what? Now that you've done that, you actually have your reports done. Because the minute you code it is the minute you have a report available to you. So now all of a sudden you can get that profit and loss. You can get that balance sheet. You can get that cash flow by clicking a couple of buttons. And you're ready to go. And then you can make your decisions. Make your decisions based on the numbers.
Right. Always.
Always make your decisions based on the numbers.
So you've seen a lot of different businesses come to you, and you've seen under the hood financially. Are there any things that business owners should be looking out for that are red flags once they've got their finances in order, that they need to change something or that something's not working?
Yeah, there's a lot of things called KPIs, which are basically key performance indicators. So what does that tell us? It says look at the numbers and say what's going on. So if I look at a balance sheet and I see someone who is very heavy on liabilities, so let's say they have a bunch of loans all of a sudden, 9 times out of 10 that person is going to have a struggle with cash flow. Because unfortunately when you look at it, well, I have all this profit, but I have no cash. That is a red flag. And that happens so often across the boards. I don't understand this. Why in the world? I'm showing profits and yet there's no money in the bank. Or it's tight or something's coming out. And that comes in, and I see that a lot when folks end up getting a lot of loans and they don't have a plan to get those loans paid off effectively. Because they just grab another loan or because it just had to. Loans are fine. I mean, there's different schools of thought. I mean, Dave Ramsey is no zero debt, but in business, I'm finding that challenging. But even with that, you've got to have a plan, and you can't keep if you're constantly needing a loan to be able to hit payroll, to be able to hit, there's something else wrong. We need to figure out, is your pricing model wrong? Or are your expenses high? Are you paying for stuff that you forgot you're paying for? That's a common one. All of a sudden those auto pays keep getting them. That is so common. And we're not being proactive. So all of a sudden you now can't take advantage of discounts. A lot of times you can pay in full and get a discount, but not if you're not prepared for it. So like insurance, I use that one. A lot of times you can pay 6 months in advance and you'll get a discount if you pay the 6 months. But if you can't prepare for that and you're paying more money out than what you need, what if we could get you into a place where we can back up a little bit, get one of those, take advantage. You just now added more money to your profits, to your bottom line. So there's a lot of things like there that we've got to look at. What's committed? What's your break-even point? That's another number that folks need to know. What's it cost to run your business? Because if anything changes, and you got to build in a little bit of surplus, because something's always going to go wrong. That's just life.
Every time.
And when you're not expecting it, it goes twice or 3 or 4. So that's one thing. So when you can start seeing, if you're starting to say, I just don't understand, I don't have the cash, it's not back, that's a great time to say, okay, it's time to take a step back. I need to see what's going on and really look at the big picture so that I can figure out what I need to change. That's probably the biggest one that I see is they have profits and no cash.
I can imagine. And I don't think getting started, I don't know that a lot of entrepreneurs realize how to price their products and how to figure out how much it costs to run their business.
No, they don't. Nobody does. I mean, you learn as you go.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
So having that information is critical.
Absolutely.
When planning.
You start, and you start where you're at. Once again, you start where you're at. Is this working? Is it not? But you're constantly doing an analysis. You're constantly looking at the numbers. What's working? What's not working? And you may find that it's cyclical. So there may be times of the year that it works great. There may be times of the year it's, forget it. But you need to know that. And the only way to know that is right back to the beginning is you got to track your numbers. So we got to get a system in place to track those numbers. And once you get data and numbers, you can start seeing that. So all of those lovely peaks and valleys, you can turn into rolling hills. Because the good times, you squirrel some away. On the bad times, you pull from it. You just got to remember where you put it. Exactly. And that's what we do. And that's the whole, and that's the systems that I love to put in place, is that proactive profit first mindset where we're focusing in on our profits so that in the tough times, when things go wrong, you have at least something to work with. It may not be exact, but at least it's better than nothing.
Right. Have you seen any cases where a business was on the verge, on the edge of just completely floundering, and they got their systems in place and it completely turned them around?
Absolutely. And that's been the best part of working with entrepreneurs and small business owners, is I've gotten to see that so many times. And it's just getting a chance, because it's almost like financial freedom when they know their numbers and they know what's coming on, and they're so frustrated because, as I said, they're chaotic. These are the people I was meeting as I was networking, as I was growing my business. They were frustrated. They were stressed. What can we do to make a difference? We can be proactive. And it's stuff that I had done for years. That was the crazy part, is I had just done it for years. So it was natural. I'm like, what do you mean you're not doing this? And that's what helped me to kind of realize that, okay, what can we do? So we look at the big picture. What do we need? What's going on? And once we do that, it gives them peace of mind, because they know what's coming. They may not like what's coming, but they know what's coming. And then we just start chunking. We just start one step at a time, one little domino at a time, and we work our way through it to a point where they can now grow. So not only are they going crazy, they're floundering, they can actually start looking to growing, because we're taking a look at those numbers. And that has been like the best feeling, to see that happening and know that we were able to help support that.
You wear a lot of hats.
I do.
You obviously trainer, coach, author. Is there one particular portion of what you do that is your favorite?
Training, but hands down. I am a trainer and a teacher at heart, always have been, and always will be, I'm sure. So I love to share information or figure out how we can do it differently. So part of my favorite part of the job is working with these business owners, a lot of ones that are doing themselves, because I never know what problem they're going to bring me. And I actually kind of enjoy that. Most people don't, but I do. I'm like, okay, what is it this time? What can we do differently? Okay, wait, what did you do? Wait, are you sure you did that? Because it looks like you did that. But I'm okay with that. I enjoy that part. And I've realized most people do not like that part, but I do. But it helps having a foundation behind it and knowing the system well enough to know, and the software well enough. So I just love to train. I love to share that information with folks, and I love to be able to figure out how we can put the puzzle piece together for that business owner. So that's the favorite part.
Is there a habit that small business owners could start practicing that would help them in managing their finances, other than obviously track it? But is there anything else that they need to look into as far as making regular habits of? Absolutely.
I mean, the track it, I would say that's the case, but you need to make time for it. So I'm a big fan of time blocking, at least within reason. So you need to dedicate time to work on your finances. So whether that's Friday morning, whether it's Sunday evening, whether it's Tuesday afternoon, I don't care. But you don't plan anything else during that time. You treat it like a doctor's appointment that you cannot get into for another 7 months. You have got to get daily discipline, weekly discipline. So daily, you need to be making sure you're at least doing some steps. Are the systems working? And then you need at least once a month to set aside some additional time to look at the big picture. What's worked? What hasn't worked? And I think that's where I see a lot of, especially starting out, there's so much that they have to do. The numbers end up on the bottom of the list. And the problem with that is if you let them on the bottom of the list any length of time, you won't have a business to worry about. Because without the numbers, you don't have a foundation. Without a foundation, you won't have a business long term. So I think the habits are making sure you dedicate some time. Take time to get your transactions tracked. Whether that's taking a look at reports because you are able to have somebody do it for you, whether that's you putting it in yourself and then looking at the reports, you've got to dedicate time, and you've got to block everything else out during that time frame.
Time management.
It's huge, huge. There's so many hats that we got to do. And as much as I want to be a multitasker, and I keep saying I am, the reality is, come on, you got to focus.
Right.
You cannot be pulled in 14 different directions and do a good job on any of them.
Exactly.
And we all try, especially as women. We all try.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
There's a kid over here, a dog over here, a husband over here, wife over here, whatever. Like, it's just, it is what it is. But, and I think that's it. You pretty much got to wall yourself up. Dedicate your time. If it's 15 minutes, take the 15 minutes at least. You might need an hour at the end of the month, but okay. But dedicate that time. Take the time away. Sometimes you got to get away from your house. Like I work out of my house. There are days I need to walk away from it and go somewhere else to just focus on my business because I can get too distracted. I'm just human like everybody else. Right. But it boils back down. I do much better when I stay at least and I dedicate that time and I don't give up that time. I take that time. And sometimes, guess what? I get it done faster and then I had a bonus time. So then I get to go do what I want. But it's those types of things. And I think even also rewarding yourself for some little things, I think that's a habit that's really important. One of the things in Profit First with Mike Michalowicz is you start dedicating profits. You actually plan your profits. It's pretty cool. So as we're building that in. So I encourage, as a business owner, you got to take care of you because nobody else does.
It's true.
So that's being said, what is something you enjoy? So for me, I like to get a massage. So I decided early on that, you know what, I'm going to start doing these profits, and when I have enough, I'm going to go do a massage. Then I'm like, no, that's not what the book says. The book says okay, I got to do this differently because now I'm starting to plan. So I get each quarter, I take a look of what's in my profit bucket, and half of that is what I get to go have fun with. So my goal is to make sure I always have enough to go get a massage each quarter because it's something I want for me. And that's one thing that I think business owners that we fail to do, especially women business owners, we don't take care of us. So looking at that, find something you're going to do and have your business support it. And I think that's a habit that can be developed over time. And I know for me, if I'm a little light, what am I going to do differently?
How do I make
this work? Right. And now I'm incentivized because I'm going to do something for me. And just for me. And that profit is dedicated just to that. And I'll tell you what, the mindset when I started doing that made all the difference. And I even say to people, look, if it's only an ice cream cone you can get back, then they were fairly cheap. But, if that's all you can do, then you go get an ice cream. Whatever. And you work towards the big goal. And I think that was one of the biggest habits and shifted in my mind that, wait a minute, I'm now working for a reason. And, and part of it is now my business supports and actually kind of says, okay, you've done a good job. And that's what that is. We're just giving ourselves some incentive to keep moving.
I have not had anybody say anything along those lines, and I think that is profound. I think that is very important that we do look at it that way.
We have to.
There's a reason we're going into business. We want to be profitable, and we want to have enough money to do the things we want to do. Yeah. And if we don't look at it from a perspective of this is the amount of profit that we need to make for this to be
the case.
Yeah. I think that's
way
profound.
Of looking at it.
Yeah, I love that. So is there a question that you wish your clients would ask before they're your clients or once they become your clients that they never ask you?
Thinking about that, and I'm like, well, there's a lot of questions I'd love for them to ask, but most of it is, and I always ask them usually, and so I prompt it. What is the biggest challenge? Because I want them to be thinking it. So I'm like, I want them to ask, I want them to let me know what their biggest challenge is. Because if they start saying, okay, I'm just struggling with this, so what are you struggling with? Because the only way I can help you overcome something is identify it. And it helps me to figure out what we got to do. So I think the questions is I always kind of turn it back into them. I'm like, what's the challenge? What do we need? What's driving you nuts? The answer might be, I have no idea how to fix this and you're going to have to still go nuts. But what if it's not? So I always encourage, and the questions I want them to ask is how do I overcome this? How do I stop doing this? I don't know, I may not have a good answer, but at least if you've identified what the challenge is, even if it's not clear, but you know what I mean, it's this area. Now we can start chipping away at it. So that's what I always want my clients to do. I'm like, what are you struggling? Just give me an idea of what's driving you nuts. What's truly driving you nuts? So what can we do? How can we do this? Or hey, every time I look at the bank, there's no money to do that. Okay, now we can start a conversation. So I think that's good. So it's a little bit different on that kind of thing, but that's what I love when they ask me, how can I make this better? That's what it boils down to.
So being able to figure out what the true pain point is for them and be able to bring that to you.
That is, it makes my life a lot easier, but most of the time we gotta dig through a few things to get there. But that's okay. It starts with, this is driving me nuts, what can I do? Be open to saying, what can I do differently? Because now we can do something about it.
What is there a question that you wish that I had asked you through this interview that I have not asked you yet?
Thinking about that, it's kind of interesting. My logo is a blue diamond. So I think I would love to share about what the blue diamond came into, because as we were thinking about this, and I never thought, I had no idea this business was coming into play, but yet this blue diamond kept showing up in my mind. It just kept coming out of there. And one of the things with a diamond is it's brilliant. They're beautiful. They sparkle. They shine. How does it get to be a diamond? The truth of that is it gets squeezed from all sides. The more pressure, the more everything that is condensed upon it is the more brilliant, the more shine, the more everything, the better it becomes. And I think that's kind of where the business has started from, is as business owners, we are compressed on every single side possible, up and down, over, under, backward, forwards. But if we can withstand and we can just keep moving forward and we can keep going, just like the diamond, which is where my blue diamond came from, then and only then can we really truly shine and have our business shine out to the world. And so I think that is one of the things that I don't often share, and I think I need to share more often.
I like it.
So
yeah.
I'm glad you asked that question.
Absolutely. What has been the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was one of those.
Guilty as well.
Yeah, doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it. But no buts. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can tweak it. And I'm like, but okay. And I'll tell you what, when I finally just started, rolling with it, that's when my business took off. It didn't have to be perfect. Just had to start. Because at least when I started, the one that was still trying to get perfect is probably 17 steps behind, because I've at least tried 14 things that didn't work.
Right.
Now I at least know what didn't work, so now maybe I can figure out what will work. So I think when they actually hit me upside the head with that one that says it doesn't have to be perfect, I'm like, but okay. That was probably the best piece of advice I got. And that's what I try to share with clients. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we got to start.
Yep. That one hurts.
Me too. Oh, it hurt bad.
You mentioned your book, and you've also mentioned a couple other books. Is there one book that you recommend that all entrepreneurs read?
There's a couple, actually. Okay. The E-Myth is one of the ones that talks about systems. Dave Ramsey's has different ones out there. A lot of folks are familiar with him, Totem and Breakthrough. There's different ones there. He just wrote one, Build a Business That You Love. And it's all about getting the systems and kind of the different capacities and different things that are there. And also Mike Michalowicz, that's probably one of my favorite ones, which is his Profit First. Okay. So I kind of use Dave Ramsey's envelope systems, and I use Mike Michalowicz's Profit First concepts, and I kind of adapt it to my own version. Because what I found, a lot of times it can be overwhelming. So I've streamlined and simplified those fundamental functions that were shared with that. But I encourage, read E-Myth, read, Dave Ramsey, he's obviously knows what he's talking about on some of those things. He's been very successful, as well as Mike Michalowicz has got, that Profit First, because it turns the concept, income, expenses, then profit first. You get a paycheck first. Then we work on the other stuff. So basically your bottom line is what's left over is what you can spend. Wait a minute, that goes against, I've already spent, no. We got to turn that concept on its head. So those are three great areas to really look into that I think have really helped me as I've been reading. And that's another thing, reading makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Whatever your business is, read as much as you can. Because it makes because you'll pick something up from every single one of them. But those are three of my favorites.
Okay. Well, what do you have going on? What is next for Excel with Me?
I'm excited because not only are we going to be able to do bookkeeping and accountability and support, is my Profit Accelerator, of course it's spelled EXCEL, Accelerator program is coming, which is where we're actually, those folks and my clients that have a good solid foundation in bookkeeping, that part's good, we're going to take it to the next level. And I'm so ecstatic over this one because I've been working on for a while to be able to launch this, where we're going to implement the profit first concepts into your business. So we're going to be proactive, not reactive. And I'm going to come alongside you and do the bulk of, let's make sure the budget's there. Let's make sure your cash flows. Let's make sure your reports are decent. We're going to take care of that with you so that you can really start focusing in on those profits, because when you increase your profits, everything else opens up for you. So I'm excited to be able to share that that is our next step. We are launching this. It's just introduction phase, that we're going to be able to do this and start working with folks. And I'll get back to doing a lot of the consulting and the training that I love to do. And now I've got the team that'll be able to support me, and we can get the information to the business and get it in their fingertips so they can actually make these decisions. And better yet, let's start planning for when, guess what, things are going to break. Things are going to go wrong. Something's going to blow up. And financially speaking, we got to be able to at least half recover from that.
Right.
It's just part of life. It's part of business. But if we can start squirreling away some of those lovely little nuts and not lose them, guess what? Now we don't have to stress when the computer breaks, when something goes wrong. We just pull from the fund that we had it already set aside, and then we replenish it, because we have a system in place that's an auto replenish. You don't get to use it and not put it back. That does not work.
Right.
It does not work. It's not a one and done. But we have that system constantly. So that's kind of the direction. And I'm so excited to be able to share that with the group that is ready, that they've got their foundation in place. Now they're ready to take it beyond bookkeeping and start to excel their profits.
Awesome. And how do people get in touch with you?
The easiest way is, let's make it super simple. You can go to chatwithjanet.com.
Chatwithjanet.com.
Yep, we'll make it super simple. You go there, you can get onto my calendar, and we can have that conversation and try to figure out what's next for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Janet. I really appreciate you coming today.
I am so excited to be here, and thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely.